괜찮.
걸 얘기하고 있고요. 그다음에 세 번째 내가 느끼기 얼마나 느끼는지. 리스닝이 아주 주관적이다. 그리고 내가 느끼기에 생각하는 약간 의식적이다. 이건 객관적. The logical intensity. 즉, 상대적으로, 여기서 왜냐면, 상대적인이라는 말이 왜 나오냐면, 세 가지 운동 종목을 하잖아요. 그러니까 상대적인 개념이 나왔을 것이고.
Good evening, brother and sister. Our class will start soon. Do you mind to put the mute mode, please? Thank you. Start soon. Do you mind to put the mute mode? Please, thank you. Start soon. Do you mind to put the mute mode?
그러면 이 기억하는
Good evening, Bhante. Should we start the classes?
Good evening, Arya. Yes, please, Arya.
Thank you very much, Bhante. Good evening, Bhante and all Kalyana Mita Namo Buddhaya and Sukhi Hontu. I'm Aliana and welcome to Ti-Ratana Vihara Friday Sutta discussion by Bhante Dr. Ganggodawila Chandima. Today is the day 154 of this series of Sutta discussion, the sixth class of Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta with topic Dhātumanasikārapabb, or section on attention to the nature of the elements, the exercise 5, number 5 in Satipaṭṭhāna practice. Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta is the 15th sutta that have been chosen by Bhante Chandima for this sutta discussion. In previous classes, Bhante has discussed about Manggala Sutta, Ratana Sutta, Metta Sutta, Sigalowada Sutta, Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, Sabbasawa Sutta, Pattakama Sutta, Pattamassamajivi Sutta, Alawaka Sutta, Dajaga Sutta, Girimananda Sutta, Chulakama Vimagga Sutta, Chunda Sutta, and Digha Janu Sutta, which Bhante has elaborated those sutta in there. For those who have missed our previous classes, please check on Ti-Ratana Vihara Amapadana Klang Facebook channel. We have uploaded previous classes there. We are always welcoming newcomers, therefore please share around about this class to other friends and family members so that whoever that wish to join the class via Zoom where we can engage directly with Bhante can contact the Vihara administrator. Or you can join the class from Ti-Ratana Vihara Facebook channel where we have broadcast the Sutta class live on every Friday evening from 8:30 p.m. till 10 p.m. Kuala Lumpur time. Now let me introduce to you about our speaker Bhante Dr. Ganggodawila Chandima, who is the Associate Editor of the Journal of International Buddhist Studies or JIBS, which is published by the Buddhist Research Institute of Mahachulalongkorn Rajavidyalaya University in Thailand. Bhante was previously a research fellow at the Center for Studies in Religion and Society or CSRS at University of Victoria, Canada. Bhante Dr. Chandima was also Theravada Buddhist chaplain at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver, Canada from year 2012 to 2016. Recently, Bhante Chandima has joined Ateneo de Manila University in the Philippines as Assistant Professor of Buddhist Philosophy. Bhante is also the Senior Advisor to Patisota, a virtual Dhamma organization that hosts a weekly online Pali reading class, Sutta discussion, and Dhamma talks, and a variety of other Dhamma activities. His Dharma works can be accessed at www.patisotta.blogspot.com, and we also can follow Bhante at Patisotta Facebook account. Without further ado, we welcome once again Bhante, and as always, thank you very much for the wonderful guidance and teaching. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you, Sister Diana, for the introduction. Good evening, Dhamma friends. Shall we pay respect to the Buddha, and then we will get started. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Once again, good evening, Dhamma friends. Welcome to Friday Sutta discussion, day 154. And we have been discussing Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta almost, I think, 5 days. And then today we will be picking up the 5th Satipaṭṭhāna exercise in the overall sense. And we have been discussing 4 Satipaṭṭhāna practices that are relevant to Kayanupassana. May I know what was the Satipaṭṭhāna practice we discussed in our previous discussion? What was it?
Anapanapabba, Iriyapattapabba, Sampajanapabbā, Patikkula-manasikārapabbā.
Yes, and then today we will be discussing Dhātumanasikārapabb. If I am to mention the connection between and among the Satipaṭṭhāna Kayanupassana practices, first the Buddha introduced Anapanapabba, that means the common meditation that everybody knows by breath, breathe in and breathe out meditation. And second, it was about bringing mindfulness onto postures, 4 main postures. And then after that, the Buddha also brought us to think about bringing mindfulness onto daily activities, almost all daily activities. So at that point, you cannot say that mindfulness is a sitting practice. There are so many opportunities for us to practice mindfulness. And then last week, we discussed about Patikkula in the sense of what you call attending to the nature of our body rather than taking it as a repulsive point of view in the first place. And that will help us to understand our body image awareness without bringing it to sort of clinging and craving. And today, in this Satipaṭṭhāna practice going forward, we discuss about Dhātu. Dhātu, D-H, long A, T-U. May I know what is your understanding about Dhātu before we jump into the discussion?
Elements, Bhante, elements.
Elements is one.
4 elements.
Time to time, you may have heard about different temples organizing Dhātu festivals. Huh? You haven't been to any of those festivals? The Buddha's relics.
Oh.
Relics, yes, relics. The Pali English word. The Pali word is Dhātu. Because you don't know this nice, very sophisticated word relics, and then Buddha relics come into XYZ Vihara, and then everybody goes there, and then they respect. And relics. It's a very interesting thing to discuss with regard to Dhātu, right? In Sri Lanka, in Kandy, there is tooth relic of the Buddha. It's supposed to be in that particular place. And whoever owns the tooth relic supposed to rule the country at that time, before the colonizers, before the Portuguese invaded Sri Lanka in 1500. Even 1600, when the Dutch invaded Sri Lanka by chasing Portuguese and then the British in 1800. But before this 1500 time, it was the custom who can own the tooth relic will govern the country, right? So there was a kind of tension between certain people and others. And when it comes to some other versions of relic, now you see in Singapore, they have a tooth relic. I don't know whether you've been to that temple in Chinatown. There's a tooth relic, and they venerate it in their own ways. And in Sri Lanka, in many other viharas, especially Anuradhapura, Anuradhapura area, and even in local temples, they always claim that they have dhatus. I think they don't say relics. They are saying Sabbanyu dhatu. So one very famous use of dhatu is relics. Some are saying that these dhatus are of certain arahants, and some are saying that these dhatus are from the Shakyamuni Buddha, right? So this is how we get to know dhatu in the cultural sense. I would say from the material culture. This is a word in, especially in modern Buddhism, they call it as a part of material culture. Buddha statues, Buddha images, Bodhi tree, Bodhi Bandhana, then Buddha relics, Arahant relics, all these come under that genre. So that is one very famous context to understand dhatu. And then when it goes to suttas, Pali, early Pali suttas, especially from Majjhima Nikaya, very much philosophical teachings of the Buddha, we see that dhatus carry the, what you call, unreducible, I would say non-reducible, or maybe atomic level of elements with regard to anything, right? Now, when we say atom or molecular structures, that will take us to a scientific, what do you call, scientific thought that we can reduce, we can see the tiniest element of something. But even the discussion of the atom still being discussed by the physicists, right? There's no one idea. There's no consensus with regard to the atom. But these suttas, particularly Pali suttas, are talking about understanding elements will help us to practice or understand Dhamma in a much easier way. This is the reason why we have to learn dhatu with regard to everything. What do you think? Do all phenomena carry dhatu? Now we have two types of phenomena, right? May I know what are the two phenomena does Buddhism talk about? Buddhism brings everything into those two scenarios actually, phenomena.
Condition, unconditioned.
Ultimate relatives, and conventional.
Yes. Okay, that seems to be a little bit loose kind of classification. Well, I would say sankhara, right? This is the simple way to say it. Sankhara and asankhara, conditioned phenomena and
Unconditioned.
unconditioned phenomena. That's it. Everything, all these phenomena fall under these two structures. Then conditioned phenomena mean everything that is constructed by something else. all these dhatus are talking about conditioned phenomena. And what is the unconditioned phenomena?
Nibbana.
Nibbana is also a dhatu, right? Nibbana dhatu. So, what we need to understand then, with regard to Pali Suttas, now, I mean, we cannot learn about dhatu only from Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta, because Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta only talks about somatic level of dhatu. What do you mean by somatic level? Somatic kind of dhatu. Somatic mean only physical level of dhatu were given by the Buddha with regard to Sati. May I know why did the Buddha give only the somatic level of dhatu in the Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta? Because he only talks about body, dhatu under the body. There's no need to talk about dhatu that are relevant to the mind in this structure. He's talking about Kayanupassana yet. We haven't gone to the Vedananupassana, Chitta Dhamma. So then he only talks about physical kind of dhatu. Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu. Right? These are somatic in psychological sense and then in our understanding. So he didn't want to talk about the two dhatus, Akasa, Vijnana, Akasa and Vijnana, explained by the Buddha in Bahudhatuka Sutta, Dhatu Vibhanga Sutta, and many other suttas. Right? That's the full level of dhatus that we will have to. Today we will be learning all that. So then, according to Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta's Kayanupassana context of dhatus are telling us to understand the somatic level, physical level of dhatu expansion in any conditioned phenomenon. Now, we all are conditioned phenomena, right? We all are made up by conditioned phenomena. So, the expansion of any physical expansion that we are carrying within us, outside, even through a Zoom surface now, interspace, they all are carrying Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu, Sankharas for the most part. But it doesn't mean that there are no Akasa Vijnana. Akasa Vijnana also exists in certain ways. But for the most part, Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu are very much manifesting, prevalent in our experience. Right? Why don't we get to the Pali text first and then we will discuss. So I would like maybe one or two to read as well. Before I ask someone to read, can we understand some Pali words here? Dhatu means elements, this part. And Manasikara means attention, right? Pabbha means chapter. And then elements. So attending to the nature of the elements, right? Elements are always existing, but not being able to attend to the nature of elements could be our problem in our sensory experience. So by understanding Dhātumanasikāra, we will be able to process our sensory experience in a better holistic way. Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu, just a kind of an example. Hey, who would like to read? Please raise your virtual hand. I would ask the first participant to read until the first, say, 1.5 to 1.53. Yes. Anyone? Yes. Who would like to read? Yes, Paduma, please. Let's start from here. We don't hear you. Are you reading? We cannot hear you. Okay. We cannot hear you, Padma. Something wrong, I think. Can others hear you, hear Padma? No, right? Okay. You want to unplug your headset, earbuds? Maybe, yeah, we cannot hear you. Something, yeah. Anybody else until she comes up by fixing? So where are our OPRC students? Are you hiding? Anybody? Yes, Aliana, please.
Punaja parang bikawe biku imamewa kayam yatha titam yathapani hitam datuso pacawe kati ati imasmin kaye patawi datu apo datu tejo datu wayo datu ti teya tapi bikawe dako gogatako wa gogata kantewasi wa gamin waditwa chatumaha pate bilaso vibajitwa nisino asa. Ewa mewa ko bikawe biku ima mewa kayam yata titam yata pani hitam datu so pacawekati ati imasmin kaye patawi datu apo datu tejo datu wayo datu ti.
Okay, great. Right. Kayanupassana Dhātumanasikārapabb, section on attending to the nature of the elements as mindfulness of the body. Okay. Punacha parang bhikkhave bhikkhu imameva kayam yata titam yata panihitam dhatusu paccavekati ati imasmin kaye patavi dhatu apo dhatu tejo dhatu vayo dhatu. Let's see the translation. Again, Bhikkhave monks, bhikkhu, imameva kaya, on this very body, yata chitam, yata panihitam. However, it may be placed and disposed. Right? Now, our body is being placed and disposed the way how we move our limbs and move our bodily parts, right? So that means body will be disposed and then place depending on how we are handling our postures and all that. So during those times, dhatusu paccavekati. One has to reflect through the elements. Dhatusu. How to reflect the body that is being placed and disposed through dhatu by placing or by understanding the existence of patavi dhatu, earth element, apo dhatu, water element, tejo dhatu, fire element, and vayu dhatu, air element. Now these are called mahabhutas, right? You can see here. This passage introduces Dhātumanasikāra, mindful contemplation of the four great elements, Mahabhuta. The reflection invites us to see the body as a natural formation, not a personal possession. I think that is a very good observation at the beginning. Because we normally look at it not as a natural composition. We look at it as a personal composition, right? Our default thinking usually goes to that personal composition, not as a natural composition. And we can see the Apo, Tejo, Vayu are what you call prevalent in our body. Basically, when we speak about solidity, we have solid parts in the body, bones, flesh, firmness, Apo, blood, saliva, moisture, and all that, fluidity, and Tejo, temperature, metabolic energy, and Vayu, movement, breath, tension, motion. By discerning these clinging softens, the body is seen not as I, mine, or myself, but as a play of nature, helping both monks and lay practitioners cultivate balance, respect, and non-identification with form. So then it is very important, very clear for us that being able to look at the natural composition of the body, that means once again understanding Panchakanda as Panchakanda, not as Panchopadana, will help us process what is happening in our mind, your daily life things easily. That is what we learn here. And then the Buddha is giving us an example. But very interestingly, Buddha is picking up a butcher who is butchering a cow. Somebody might think, why he could have chosen something. Why he used a butcher who is cutting several symmetrical places of a cow. Go-gat, you can see over here. Sayatapi bhikkave, dakko means very competent. Go-gat, butcher, say butcher who is butchering a cow. Go-gataka antevasi. Antevasi means his apprentice, his student, who is also supporting or helping or doing the same cutting of a cow's body, dead cow's body. Gaving vaditva Chatumahapati bilasu vibhajitva nisinnovas. That means, how does the Gogataka, the one who is butchering a cow, or his student who is butchering the cow, is going to cut the cow's body into pieces with the knife. So this seems to be that butcher or butcher's student is doing it according to a certain skillful way in that particular activity, right? We will see the information. This vivid simile emphasizes analytical discernment, not cruelty. I mean, of course, cruelty in the sense of killing, but that cutting part, like a butcher separating flesh into parts without emotional involvement, the practitioner examines the body with precise attention. The comparison points to detachment through understanding, seeing that what we call body is merely a combination of physical elements. It is not to endorse harm, but to cultivate dispassionate clarity, recognizing that attachment fades when we see the body as impersonal and transient. We can also think about an experience of a person who is, what do you call, doing the embalming process. Think about it. We all will be embalmed one day, right? Right? What will the experience of someone who is doing that embalming in a funeral parlor? I think he or she will have the same experience, right? But according to the expertise aspect, the person who is doing that embalming process has to properly do that, right? Clean the body to make it more suitable. I think the next pabba is about the dead body, right? But the thing is, now when we compare the dead body's experience and how we look at it, now we are seeing much more beautiful dead bodies. Perhaps the quality of the person's body could be more visible. I mean, more, impressive than the person's life. I mean, compared to the Buddha's time. Buddha's time, they go and then left it in a certain place, right? So anyways, what could be the experience for a person who is cutting the dead body of a cow? That person is going to properly cut the certain places in the expert level. In the same way, someone who is going to practice Dhātumanasikāra has to particularly understand that these are my Patavi products of the body. These are my Apo products of the body. These are my Vayo products of the body. These are my Tejo products of the body. Oh, this is Patavi area. Oh, this is Apo. This is Tejo. This is Vayo. Do we normally do that? Or do we look at it from a very personal composition? Right? Now think about when you touch a certain hard part of your body. Do you ever think that this was made from Patavi? Or no, that is the hardness, right? And we will get stuck in the hardness rather than looking at it from the understanding of Patavi quality. What about Apo? Think about you are catching a cold. Have you ever thought that when you are blowing out, oh, this is Apo? Huh? No, this is phlegm, right? This part is phlegm. It makes me really uncomfortable now, right? And even other people might look at it, no, that is a little ugly to look at the phlegm in that way. And what about the blood? What about the phlegm? What about all these fluid parts in the body, right? So have we been able to look at them as Apo kind of products? Or we only look at that these are discharge of the body, ugly discharge of the body, right? Now, when we ask from a nurse who is taking care of elderly people, they will look at it a little differently than us, right? But they are trained to take care of the elderly people with their discharge. But for a normal person, they might look at it a little differently. So that means when you are trained medically in a professional context, you will look at it a little differently, right? Compared to a normal individual. What if that we are professionally trained with the Dhatu experience to look at our Apo products? I think we will look at it in a more compassionate way. I think those children, when they are taking care of their parents, sometimes parents get sick in their houses, right? Not all children are comfortable in cleaning them, right? I think like sometimes when your parents going through a hard time, some children don't like to go and then do it, right? Oh, it's very ugly. It's very, I don't like it. Right? But I think when you have this Dhātumanasikāra, you will look at those things in a more compassionate way. You are bringing some sort of compassion towards those dhatus to look at the scenario in a much broader way. This is my mother. Why not? She took care of me. You're my father, right? So I think that way of looking at our own, even here, Apo products, will come to someone because that person has a good understanding, if cultivated through Dhātumanasikāra, with compassion. And what about Tejo part? Temperature? Have you ever thought about Tejo Dhatu whenever your fever was at 38 Celsius? Right? Maybe your level 30, 38, maybe 39 is too bad, right? Have you ever thought that this is Tejo Dhatu? Or that you were thinking about always that I am unwell only, right? So that is an example that we could have thought about while we are taking medications and seeking guidance from a professional medically. I think that is also one very good moment to think about our Tejo Dhatu. What are the other examples of Tejo Dhatu? What about our what you call metabolistic activities? What are they? Can you think about the metabolic energy and how it works inside our body?
Bhante, is it digestion? The food digestion in the body?
Digestion needs some heat, right? Temperature,
Yeah.
right? And then what about when you go to a colder place, right? You bring a lot of jackets, right? Have you ever thought that this is a place that I'm going to juggle with the Tejo Dhatu? Or you're only thinking about how to stay warm, right? I only want to stay warm, right? Let's say I'm going to a Scandinavian country, maybe a country that is in the winter. I only want to keep myself warm. That's it. I don't want to think about that. This is a Tejodhatu experience. I think that's a very good way to look at Tejodhatu. What about you feel very cold? You know that your temperature is somewhat mixed up. Maybe the air conditioner is too cold. And then have you ever thought that this is happening because of this Tejodhatu? I think then if that is happening, I think you understand Tejodhatu head on. Otherwise, you will understand Tejodhatu later on. Okay, that was Tejodhatu. And experience was missed out at that point. And what about Vayodhatu? Vayu, breathing, right? I think that's a very, what do you call, popular experience to all of us. We talk about Anapana over and over. Every time when you practice Anapana, breathing in, breathing out, you can think about that why I am going through this breathing in, breathing out experience because of Vayodhatu's products. Long breath, short breath. Why? Why Anapanasati? Anapana is happening. Why do I have to do Anapanasati? Anapana happening naturally. Sometimes we mess up our Anapana too, right? How do we mess up our Anapana? May I know? Anapana is happening. Sometimes we mess up Anapana by being angry at somebody, self-hatred, jealousy, frustration. Then we give a hard time to Anapana. Then, regardless of Anapana's natural process, Anapana's superficial nature, which we are creating for Anapana, we really bring into understanding that all these are happening to me because of the Vayodhatu's products, Vayodhatu's experience. So in that case, I think we are missing out on a lot of Dhatu experiences in our sensory activity. So that is something we have to think. We will discuss more later. And then, okay, this part I will read to save the time. Evameva ko bhikkhave bhikkhu imameva kayam yata hitam yata panihita. That means however the body is placed and disposed, dhatu so pachavekati. We all are supposed to reflect our body through dhatu way. Dhatu way means being able to reflect our bodily experiences through dhatu context. Not even our bodily experiences, but also what is happening outside. So Buddha in Dhātuvibhanga Sutta, Bahudhātuka Sutta talks about that we have to look at dhatu internally, externally, also in the Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta. What do we mean by being able to see dhatu externally? Now I see Zoom interface here. Is there any dhatu here? External dhatu? What is this experience like? Now we all are looking at this superficially created online experience now, right? Is there any, what do you call, Patavi nature in this Zoom experience?
Yes.
Don't try to press hard on your screen, but there is Patavi inside there. There is Patavi. Is there any Apo here? Yes. In case if there is a fire, we will understand how much fluid will come out of these interfaces, right? Gadgets. And Tejo, we can feel it if we touch the interface keyboard, even the screen, we can feel the heat. And then Vayu, is there Vayu here? Any motion? Yes. How are these information being encoded, decoded into you? We are in different places now. This communication activities are bringing us together by sending information, receiving information, and again sending, receiving, right? Why? There's a certain thing going in and out, right? So that means Dhatu experience must be seen internally and externally. That is how we are supposed to look at it. Not even the body, but initially body, because the Buddha is asking us to use the body to be mindful with regard to Dhatu seal, right? Other Dhatu teachings are coming from other suttas. We will have to learn them too a little bit to have a better understanding. So here Buddha primarily asks us, every time you are experiencing any bodily experience, look at them through Patavi products, Apo products, Tejo products, and Vayu products. So then we can practice Dhātumanasikāra. And then moving on, right? Iti ajjattan va kāye kāyana passe viharati, bahiddha va kāye kāyana passe viharati, ajjata bahiddha va kāye kāyana passe viharati. Now, may I know how does it work? Now, I just mentioned to you that we have to look at body internally, especially internally we learn it here. When I talk, when I move, when I place my body, when I dispose my body, that how is my body is manifesting Patavi experience, Apo Tejo Vayu. Then what about external Bahiddha experience of Dhatu? Now, when I see someone that I like, when I see someone I don't like, what could be my experience like normally? I like it too, I dislike it. Right? Then what if I try to bring Dhatu way of looking at other people's body? Will I get stuck with likes or dislikes at that point? Very less, minimum. I'm not saying fully it will go away, but at least we have a certain mechanism to work with that. 5 years ago, when you see someone you don't like, you come up with full anger, right? You walk away and you come up with full blown anger. But when you learn Dhātumanasikāra, then when you see, I mean, they also carry Patavi products, Apo products, Tejo products, Vayu products. So why do I have to always carry a certain bad memory, sanya, with regard to that person, right? Because if I only see that person is carrying a static nature of 5 aggregates, then that could be possible. But they are also changing. Right? So then that means when we practice Dhātumanasikāra internally with regard to our bodies and externally with regard to other people's bodies, we are creating a huge shield with regard to our, what you call, sensory experience, to wisely experience our sensory activities. I think that's very important. And then, Samudaya Dhammānu Pasiva Kayasmin Viharati, Vaya Dhammānu. This is the same phrasing, but we will have to learn it with regard to today's one. Vaya Dhammānu Pasiva Kayasmin Viharati, Samudaya Vaya. May I know what is the Samudaya Dhamma and Vaya Dhamma here with regard to Dhātumanasikāra? Now, our personal bodies and other people's bodies are originated because of a reason, right? What is the reason of why we were created and why others are created? It was a joint initiation by our parents. But that initiation could have not happened if my consciousness did not come to their physical part, right? So I understand that without those two things to have happened, I would have not possessed this body and they would have not possessed their bodies. So I understand Samudaya way of carrying Patavi Apo Tejo Vayu nature in the body, my body and other people's body, and Vaya Dhamma level of carrying the body. If not, then they would have not created a body at that point. At this point, Attikāyotiva Panasa Satipaṭṭhāna Hoti Yavadeva Jnanamattaya Patisatimattaya Anisitoja Viharati Najakinchi Loki. This is something that is happening to the yogi or yogini who is practicing Satipaṭṭhāna. The yogi or yogini will come to a mindfulness that then through the understanding of Dhātumanasikāra, the expansion of dhatus inside one's body and other people's body, that there is a change in body, and then there is a mindfulness that will be arising to understand to that extent. As a result of that mindfulness that is arising to that extent, Anisitocha Viharati, yogi or yogini will be able to live, spend time, dwell, unassociating. Nachakinchi loke upadhyati. At that point, yogi or yogini will not grasp at anything in the world. What is the world that we are talking here? Once again, we discussed that. Panchakanda world. Normally, we are living by associating the Panchakanda world too much. When we associate our Panchakanda world too much, what will happen to us? We will be taken away by Panchupada, right? But of course, we are spending time with Panchakanda by understanding that these are Panchakanda. The very core of my body is Panchakanda. So I don't need to bring clinging and all these unnecessary things into Panchakanda. That will be more happening when we know any Satipaṭṭhāna. In this Satipaṭṭhāna regard, you will be able to come to that point by understanding that the expansion of dhatus are as such in my body and in others' bodies. Evampiko bhikkave bhikkhu kāye kāyanupassī vihati. All right. And then we are going to notes now from here onwards. Why 6 elements in Majjhima Nikaya 140? This means Dhatu Vibhanga Sutta. And why 4 here? Majjhima Nikaya 10 or Digha Nikaya 22. So 2 Satipaṭṭhāna Suttas. Different scope and purpose. In Satipaṭṭhāna, Kāyanupassana Dhātumanasikāra, which we are discussing today, the Buddha has you contemplate the body as the 4 great elements, Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayo. In Majjhima Nikaya 140, Dhatu Vibhanga Sutta, the Buddha expands the analysis beyond the body to include Akasa Dhatu and Vijnana Dhatu. What is Akasa Dhatu? Now, Akasa means space or room, empty. It is to undercut the reification of something in between the solids and fluids, right? Actually, do we have a space do we have certain spaces, cavities between our organs and our metabolic things that we have in our body? Do we have?
Yes,
We
Bhante,
do,
we
right?
have, yes.
We do. That means Akasa Dhatu really exists in our body. What is the nature of that space actually? Why is there a space in our body? What could be the benefit of having a space? These conditioned phenomena need space, right? That's a necessity. Now think about the process of digestion, right? That is made possible through many other things, and also the position of our organs. They all are made possible as long as there is a certain space. So Akasa could be a certain invisible thing, but when the Buddha was explaining Dhatu in details, Buddha could have not mentioned about Akasa. He had to mention about Akasa because without the space, these Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu might not exist in the proper way. Yeah, especially the movement, yes. So that is Akasa Dhatu. And what about the other one, the 6th one? Vijnana Dhatu, consciousness element, to dismantle identification with knowing, experiencing itself. That's an interesting thing. If we say that there is a vijnana as an element, then vijnana should be a proto level of experience. How to differentiate that actually? Because when we talk about vijnana, consciousness does a lot of activities. Now, even you look at a lot of suttas, we understand consciousness is given in, I think, for the most part, 7 ways. In Yogacara Buddhist philosophy, they talk in 8 ways. That's a Mahayana philosophy, but we talk it in 7 ways, because Buddha is talking about vijnana as sensory experiences, sensory consciousnesses. Chakku vijnana, eye consciousness; sota vijnana, ear consciousness; gana vijnana, nose consciousness; jivha vijnana, taste consciousness; then kaya vijnana, body consciousness; and mano vijnana, mind consciousness. Mind also has a consciousness. That's interesting, right? If you put it, consciousness and mind together, it is not possible. That means every sensory faculty has a consciousness. Eye has its own consciousness. Ear has its own consciousness. Then nose, tongue, body, mind, they have their own consciousness types. But keep in mind, when they are individually being processed, but finally there's a certain consciousness that processes all the other consciousness types. That's where that is given in Abhidhamma, actually, for the most part. They call it Suddha conscious, pure consciousness, actually. One example is that now we see each other here, right? For almost like another 40 minutes, almost. And then now we will be finished by 10 o'clock around-ish, right? Then you will sleep. But what if that you are dreaming about a certain part of this discussion tonight? Right? I mean, just for an example. Then you might be thinking, I don't see anything, I'm in sleep. I'm in sleep. Then you will go back to Sigmund Freud, psychoanalysis, maybe eat, super eat, those kind of things. Very, very early kind of psychology. Why does it come to my mind? I'm not processing anything now. I'm in sleep. Then Buddhism explains, then when you are in sleep, your consciousness will not sleep. What consciousness will not sleep? That Dhamma consciousness, pure consciousness, doesn't sleep. So then what it will process? The objects that have processed by the other consciousnesses will be processed by that consciousness during that time. That's why don't think when you sleep, your consciousness also will not sleep. It won't sleep. It has to be active. If you think that consciousness will be dead during the time you are in sleep, that means consciousness must have gone out from your body. You will go in a dream like that, but in reality, you can't go like that until you die conventional. So, yes, I will give the Pali word later. Yes, I will give. So then, now what we are going to learn here is that 6 consciousnesses, basic consciousnesses, and the 6th one is again processing when the active sensory organs are not processing anything as a consciousness at that time. Then there is another consciousness that we are talking. Actually, Abhidhamma is talking that too much. Abhidhamma is talking it as a bhavanga vijnana. They say that when we die, what is departing our body is none of these 6 consciousnesses, but this bhavanga vijnana. In Abhidhamma, Yogacara philosophy, they say alaya vijnana, store consciousness. They say this is departing. Then Theravada Abhidhamma is talking about this from a nice example. It's pretty interesting to learn, actually. They are talking Chitta Viti. Chitta Viti means what you call thought processes. That is not really given in the Pali canon. I mean, what you call early suttas. But how they are presenting it is interesting to connect to the Pali suttas. They are saying, okay, now there's now in my example, a teacher is going to give an essay to students in a class. Let us think about an essay. Okay, disruptive students should be taught together, agree or disagree. And students have to agree and disagree, and they give their own observations at the end. That's how argument will be made. So then now there are good students, differently good students, some are really weak students. Anyways, most of them are writing the essay in a better way. Now students are passing the essay papers. The teacher is going to mark the essays. Teacher is understanding that most of them have written the essay well. But when the teacher is looking at the way how they have written, the ways are very different from one to one. The way how they process their thoughts, the way how they have put together their ideas, their arguments for the what you call pros and cons and all that. This is what Abhidhamma is saying with regard to thought processes. That means every time when all of us individually is to process any sensory experience. Now I'm seeing you here. If I hear something, if I see anything else over here, if I smell something around, if I taste something, if I have a touch, every time that particular sensory object has to go through 17 optimal stages in a thought process. Very interesting. That object will impinge on my eye, say for instance, then how does the sensory experience arises and works? Abhidhamma says that sensory experience, once it is impinged on the eye or maybe smell, whatever, nose, that experience, if it is a very optimal kind of experience going to be registered, it has to go through 17 stages. Now you may still not understand what I'm trying to say about Bhavanga Vijnana. The first 3 stages are related to Bhavanga Vijnana. That means every time when I think, when I process anything, taste, food experience, seeing someone that I like or I dislike, hearing something, smelling experience, touching experience, I will register my thought. I will make it to a registered thought by bringing that particular object through my Bhavanga Vijnana, which I brought from past life, which I will go with when I die. After the first 3, the rest of the 14 are not in the past, in that experience. They are in our this life, depending on how our karma and how I process my environment, people, and my knowledge of them and all that. So that means this Vijnana, going back to Vijnana again, this Vijnana cannot be understood from a blanket explanation. Don't try to understand it from a very standalone blanket explanation, because Vijnana in Buddhism has been explained even in the Pali Suttas separately. 6, there are 2 main explanations, 6 Vijnanas, 6 sensory Vijnanas, and 1 Vijnana that will go, that is the main one actually. That is what you call that I will be reborn in the next life, right? That is what is happening when we die. So then why Vijnana can be an element here? If Vijnana can be an element, then there should be a certain pure Vijnana, right? That is undiluted level of Vijnana. Actually, what the Buddha says here is that if we try to look for a undiluted, authentic kind of thinking, it exists. It actually exists. Can you think about an example, a place that our Vijnana exists without any dilution? I'm asking you to think about from suttas. In many suttas, especially Anguttara Nikaya suttas, Buddha is saying, Pabassara midam bhikkave citta. Monks, I tell you, your thoughts, which would go through the consciousness process, are originally very luminous, undiluted. But as you start to live longer and longer, your thoughts will be, which will be following the consciousness at a certain point, will be, what do you call, diminish its luminosity. That means clarity, because you are, I think it's true, right? You think about the mind of a child, a baby. right? How is their mind going on? I mean, do they have a lot of
Not
experiences in their life? They are pretty honest about a lot of things. There may be one or two child who talking differently, but for the most part, they are very honest because they don't know anything, right? But think about the same child as the child is going to be behaving in the society genetically and environmentally and everything, and his or her experiences. What will happen to the child? Child's consciousness will be kind of marked, modified because of his or her experiences. So that's why the Buddha said, no, you have a luminous mind. That's what you are now trying to get it through meditation. Now you all become adults. Now you want to go back to the baby's mindset. In Hinduism, when we study about Hindu books, especially their Nirvana, they are always saying the Muni's mind, when they enlighten with the Brahma, will be the mind that the person will take from a baby. The baby's mind. Baby is not that much shaken from many things, right? So that means Vijnana as a Dhatu is visible at the point that we look at our thinking process when it is not diluted at a certain point. So this is why Vijnana Dhatu was made. But Vijnana has a lot of developments, just like Chakku Vijnana, Sota Vijnana, Gana Vijnana, Bhavanga Vijnana. Right? When it is become as such, then it has even gone beyond the Vijnana Dhatu experience. All right, so that's the difference between Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta's 4 elements, especially with regard to Kāyanupassana, and then Dhātuvibhanga Sutta's 6. In addition to 4, there are 2. So Satipaṭṭhāna uses 4 dhatu to deconstruct the body. Dhātuvibhanga uses 6 dhatu to deconstruct the whole person. Matter, space, matter, 4 things, and then space, akasa, and vijnana. Okay, let us take a look at other main uses of dhatu in the Pali Canon. First one is 6 elements. I think you know that already. Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu. We will discuss about this sutta later. This is the most, I think, important sutta with regard to what we need to do about dhatu and how to discipline with regard to dhatu or elements were given by the Buddha to his son Rahula. And 18 elements. There is another sutta where Buddha talks about 18 dhatus. What is the sutta? Bahudhātuka Sutta in Majjhima Nikāya. And Buddha says, Chakku, eye is an element, object of eye, sight is an element, and eye consciousness is an element. So there are 3 elements with regard to the eye experience. So also other experiences. You can multiply 3 by 6, right? You will get that 18. In the Bahudhātuka Sutta, Buddha is saying that Buddha is using a word. What is the word? Dhātu kusalo. Dhātu kusalo. Kusalo means kusalo. Someone who skills in elements. That means we all are supposed to be skilled in elements. How to be skilled in elements? Dhātu kusalo. By knowing, understanding and jhanato passato. Being able to understand the full structure of dhatu with regard to elements will be the dhatu kusalo status. And then the second type of dhatus which Buddha talks about with regard to Bahudhātuka Sutta is 6 states. For the most part, they are hedonic or maybe cognitive elements. Sukha dhatu, pleasure is an element. Dukkha is an element. Somanassa, domanassa means happiness, sadness, they are elements. Upekha, equanimity is an element. Avijja is an element. Can we discuss about that? Sukha, dukkha, somanassa, domanassa. Actually, sukha, dukkha can be better translated as happiness, unhappiness. Especially physical happiness and physical unhappiness is sukha, dukkha. Then what is the mental happiness, mental unhappiness? Somanassa, Domanassa. That would be a better way to translate. Now the Buddha is saying, and Upekkha and Avijja. Upekkha is the highest level of our happiness, and Avijja means why we are not happy. That's the reason. Why we cannot be happy is because we have Avijja. Something is clouding us. Then the Buddha is saying that all these affective feeling stages are carrying elements. How to find our physical happiness as an element? Have we ever traced our physical happiness? This is the level that I start to become happy physically. This is the level, this is the place, these are the conditions that will make me into the physical unhappiness. I think some people have it. They are saying that this is not the food I want. I want this XYZ things. This is not the kind of thing that I want to go through. This is not the perfume that I want to buy, right? So they are trying to create certain elements with regard to their happiness, unhappiness, physical unhappiness, happiness, mental happiness, unhappiness levels. But being able to understand how our physical happiness, sukha, physical unhappiness, dukkha, mental happiness, somanassa, mental unhappiness, domanassa arise. If I can know how they arise, then I can use dhatus to monitor my feelings, especially with regard to my affective qualities. Now, Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta does not talk about that explicitly. Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta will talk about it as a part of Vedananupassana. But because we are talking dhatus here, I want to show you that there are other uses of dhatus. Okay? Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta only talks about body with regard to Patavi Apo Tejo Vāyu. But Bahudhatuka Sutta talks about dhatus are also relevant to our feeling experience. Now think about someone who is a very emotional person, cries for a small reason, happy for a small reason. Some people are easily happy, easily unhappy. Have you seen people like that? They are easily happy, easily unhappy. So it's very difficult for them to emotionally stable. They are very emotionally fragile people. People who are associating those people are going through a lot of big problems. So how to stay with these people? Even for a simple thing, they are crying. Even for a simple thing, they want to announce that as a very big event happened, right? So then, if we are going through these kind of feeling stages, if we can understand how those feelings arise in my personal experience, even in other people's experiences that I know, that will help me to ground myself. That is why Dhatu will help me to even understand the feelings of me and other people. But Kayanupassana, Dhātumanasikāra does not mention about it, but I was giving you additional information to understand. Bahudhātaka Sutta also talks about Upekkha. I want to ask you about this Upekkha. May I know what is Upekkha actually?
Equanimous, balanced mind.
It's balanced mind. Balanced mind. But how to scale this in our feeling experience in Buddhism? We scale it, right? We normally scale our dukkha, sukha, somanassa, domanassa. We would like to scale them time to time. How to scale it? I mean, how does Buddhism look at it in the level of our experience? Asomanassa, domanassa. Okay. How to scale this experience? May I know what is the feeling of enlightened people? Arahants, Pacceka Buddhas, and Samma Sambuddhas. What is the state of mind that they are having with regard to any feeling? Upekkha. Their mind is Upekkha. But their mind is Upekkha by default. It is functional. They are not trying to become Upekkha, equanimous. They are already Upekkha when they hear something, when they see something, when they do something, they are doing it in upekkha. And for us, what is the usual nature, default nature of our state of happiness, our state of feelings all the time? Choosing one or the other, right? Sometimes we are unwillingly choose something, maybe happiness, unhappiness. We are switching between these two things. We are oscillating, vacillating, and then finally we are shaken by them. That's the funny part. That's the funny part, actually. We choose it and we think it's happy, and later on we are very unhappy, shaken by that. That's why Buddha said in the Loka Vipatti Sutta, Anguttara Nikaya, the Buddha is saying, 8 things revolve around us. We revolve around 8 things. Very interesting, right? The Buddha is saying 8 things revolve around, go around us, and we go around those 8 things. So how to understand this?
The 8 worldly conditions, Bhante. We are
Worldly
yeah.
condition mean that
Yeah.
they are relevant to all of us, right? Even to animals, even to devas. Labha, gains, alabha, losses. Then labha, alabha, yasa, ayasa, labha, alabha, yasa, ayasa. Yasa means compliment, ayasa means criticism, and then fame and defame, maybe insult and then a lot of praises, and then happiness, unhappiness. These are revolving around us, right? That is what the Buddha said as 8 worldly conditions are going around us. Then what does Buddha mean by that we are going around them? How to understand that? How to unpack it?
Samsara.
When these 8 are happening to us, are we going to stay silent? No, we're going to respond to it. We
Yes.
normally react to them.
React.
That is why the Buddha said, when they are going around us, we are going around them.
Yes.
This is what is happening to us. When someone compliments me, I shrug off and I'm so happy. I am the best, Not to mention it, I'm the best always. And when someone criticizes me, I go very down. That day was the worst day. Why? Because when these worldly conditions are going around me, I consciously or unconsciously react to those things.
Yes.
So then unenlightened beings are choosing sukha over dukkha, dukkha over sukha, somanasa over domanasa, domanasa over somanasa. They will never be able to come to upekkha. Because in all Dhamma teachings, Noble Eightfold Path, then Brahma Viharas, and in all Paramitas, all these precious teachings, very high-end, precious teachings, they highlight upekkha at the end. Upekkha means balanced state of mind. I think that's a very important and very challenging thing to many people. Because on one hand, they are liking people and they have to go through the experiences, right? So when enlightened individuals, also unenlightened people like us, when we are going through happiness, unhappiness, time to time, at least we are going to look at how is my feeling experience happening in my life. Can I stay away not by reacting to these polar ends? Can I look at it by transcending myself, not to react, but to respond, right? So the Buddha is saying then upekkha, in that way, will be an element to understand, right? And avijja, yes, avijja is the worst element, right? That's why we are in the samsara. Because of this not understanding, not being able to know the Four Noble Truths, avijja. And then there are a lot of interpretation. Because of timing, I won't be able to read all that. 6 ethical orientation, kama, nekkhamma, vyapada, avyapada, vihimsa, avihimsa. May I know what are they? These are the miccha, sankappa, and samma sankappa, right intention and wrong intention. They also can be elements according to Dhātumanasikārapabb Sutta. And three realms, Kama Avachara, Rupa Avachara. We discussed this, Sankata, Asankata, right? So in this way, we understand, this is the Pali with Dhatu Kusalo, skills, someone who is skilled in elements. We understand being able to understand Dhatu elements will help us properly process our sensory experience. Look at this claim. The cycle of recycled elements. The earth element, Patavi, in your parents came from their food. Food came from plants. Plants drew minerals from the soil. The soil came from the decay of past bodies. So in reality, your body is ancestrally shared with the whole ecosystem. The elements never belong to anyone. They simply reassemble for a short time as you. What a very interesting way to look at it. Now we carry, this is my personal composition. This is me, myself. So don't try to talk to me like that. I'm like this. I think this kind of wrong impressions will be diminished if I look at elements this way. Nobody carries elements. Only the ecosystem reassembles our elements in a better way, in a new way, right? Now we understand what will happen to us, our bodies, when we pass away. What will happen to your Patavi parts when you pass away? If you are buried or if you are cremated, you know what will happen to you.
Of element.
Yeah, and then Apo elements, it will go back to the Apo side. What will happen to your Tejo element when you die? It will merge with the
cold.
temperature, right?
Yes.
And what will happen to your last breath? It will merge with the normal air. Then other people will breathe that, right? Your last breath. So in essence, your four elements are properly recycled back, right? That means we don't actually carry anything. Only the ecosystem reassembles everything for us for a short time. I think this could be the most important understanding about what elements do to us, right? In essence. And then another way to look at it, you never touch the same world twice. Every touch, sight, breath is a meeting of ever-shifting dhatus. Your tejo, heat balances with the air's vayu. Your skin's apo with ambient humidity. The same world you think you wake to each morning has already dissolved and rearisen countless times before breakfast. And if you look at what could happen this way, there are a lot of things to understand. So please read all these information. So I'm going to the last one, just to understand what to do with regard to elements, especially with regard to wisdom. How do we cultivate wisdom through attending to the nature of elements? In essence, Maharaguluvada Sutta, Majjhima Nikaya 62. Here, Buddha is meeting Venerable Rahula, his son. And, okay, let's read this part. Rahula, the interior earth element, Patavi Dhatu's internal nature, with regard to our body, is anything internal, personal, that is hard, solid, and appropriate. This includes head hair, body hair, nails. I think we learned them last week. Anything else internal, personal, that is hard, solid, and appropriate. This is called the interior earth element. The interior earth element and the exterior earth element are just the earth element. How to understand the external earth element there? My body. How does my body merge with the external earth element? Patavi Dhatu. Now, all these are internal. It is not that what is inside my body and what is outside of my body, actually. Think about where you are positioned now, according to this sutta, Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta. You are positioned, maybe you are seated on a chair now, right? That is a hard space, Patavi Dhatu. Internal Patavi Dhatu is now positioned, disposed on an external Patavi Dhatu. Regardless of internal, external, they all are Patavi. And then, this should be truly seen with right understanding like this. This is not mine. I am not this. This is not myself. When you truly see with right understanding, you grow dissolution with the earth element, detaching the mind from the earth element. This is the problem. Our mind is our mind is clouded with earth element. Our mind is clouded with the water element. Our mind is clouded with the heat element and also air element. So we have to deconstruct this clouding. How to do it? By understanding that earth element is not me. It is earth element. It is not me. I have to separate earth element from creating earth element as myself. I mean myself. So also other elements. And then Buddha is giving a very interesting analysis after he pointed out all these elements. First, second, third, fourth, over here. Here. Rahula, meditate like the earth. Now he's asking his son to bring meditation like earth. For when you meditate like the earth, pleasant and unpleasant contacts will not occupy your mind. Suppose there were to toss both clean and unclean things on the earth, like feces, urine, spit, pus, and blood. The earth is not horrified, repelled, and disgusted because of this. In the same way, meditate like the earth. For when you meditate like the earth, Patavi, pleasant, unpleasant contacts will not occupy. That's a very interesting simile. Now, when people discard all the repulsive stuff on the earth, will earth be unhappy for that?
No.
No, earth will be happily accepting all that. So, in the same way, the Buddha is asking Venerable Rahula, his son, even to all of us, practice our meditation like the earth. So then we will understand the nature. That means we have to use Patavi in a way how we can progress meditation, but not to become vulnerable to the Patavi nature as I, me, myself. Use Patavi to progress our meditation, but don't be a victim to Patavi Dhatu. I think a lot of people are victims of their Patavi Dhatu. Use Patavi to progress your meditation, just like the nature of the Patavi. But don't become a victim about it. Let's go to the Apo. What do we see about Apo? Meditate, Rahula, meditate like water. Or when you meditate like water, pleasant, unpleasant contacts will not occupy your mind. Suppose they were to wash both clean and unclean things in the water, like feces, urine, spit, pus, and blood. The water is not horrified, repelled, disgusted because of this. In the same way, meditate like water. Or when you meditate like water, pleasant, unpleasant contacts will not occupy your mind. In the same way, Buddha is talking about all these elements, right? Because by learning about these elements as supportives to our meditation, even to this Kayana Dhātumanasikāra, it will help us to bring us to the next level in our meditation, our cultivation, rather become stuck in those elements by calling elements as, no, this is I. Patavi Dhatu is not Patavi Dhatu, that is I, me, myself. Can you think about an example where people call Patavi Dhatu to be I, me, myself? Think about the body and someone is trying to relate body too obsessively about I, me, myself. Look at me, how beautiful I am, handsome, how pretty. And then, well, if that is happening, that's a good karma. But what if someone is very obsessed with that understanding and trying to emulate other people with that obsession? Then that person has become a victim to his or her Patavi Dhatu. Think about somebody with regard to his or her watery things, right? Also with regard to the heat, with regard to the breathing, then they have unconsciously become victims of their dhatus. But we should not become victims of our dhatu, rather than understanding the true nature of the dhatus. That is what Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta's Dhātumanasikārapabb mentions to us. All right, so now in our next 8 minutes, we will pick up some of the questions and we will wrap up at that point. Yes, Yes, Sumita, you have a question?
Bhante, example is the obsessive compulsive disorder. Those people with OCD disorder. That means, can it be classified as they are thinking of them that they are so obsessive about, compulsive behavior disorder?
Yes. Yeah, that's a psychologically way of looking at it. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank you.
obsessions, compulsiveness. Yes. I think we all may go through obsessions at a certain point in our life. But when we understand our own obsessions, we will diminish them. At least we know that this is an obsession. We should not be victimized by them. But anyways, yes, obsessions, then extreme kind of thinking, right? All that. Okay, we will pick up some of the questions posted here. If you have questions. Okay, Bhante, the Upekka mentioned, is it referring to Brahma Vihara? Yes, it is the same Upekka. That is the same. There's no other Upekka, same Upekka, right? Same Upekka. And the second question is, why did the Buddha left out the term kalpas in the early sutta, since it is kalapas, sorry. Left out the term kalapas in the early sutta, since it is so important in connection to the four elements. Kalapa, we call them as rupa clusters. This is a teaching given by the Abhidhamma books. And actually, this teaching was given by Abhidhamma books by pointing out that rupa is divided into four parts. What do you call Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu as what do you call Mahabhuta Rupas, and Abhidhamma books talk about 24 derivative Rupas, Rupas that are derived from that four elements. And then Abhidhamma also talks about, with regard, in addition to Mahabhuta Rupas, that there are four Nippanna Rupas. They were derived from the Mahabhuta Rupas with regard to making pure octane, Varna, Gandha, Rasa, Oja. And then they are trying to move around those elements as kalapas. I think this is too much hardware stuff. So I think unless you are academic to study about a lot of things, this is not very necessary for someone to normal people to understand rupa and the fleeting nature of the rupa. I don't say anything wrong about it. And if you want to study, you can study, but it's not necessary. If you understand Pataviya, Tejo, Vayu according to Dhātumanasikārapabb, or in the future, if you want to know more information about Dhatu, if you read Dhatu Vibhanga Sutta, Bahudhatuka Sutta, I think it's enough. Or maybe you can read Dhatu Samyutta in the Samyutta Nikaya. I think that is enough. Because what is happening in these Kalapa, Rupa clusters, even Upadaya Rupas, there are certain important things too. But if we are too much about Rupa, in a sense, we call them as what do you call scientific way of dissecting everything, we perhaps might end up with a certain atomic perspective, which is not important, because there are a lot of things we cannot see through our naked eyes. So how to come to a final conclusion about the Rupa? Now think about, I don't see any ghost or devas, but devas exist. As Buddha's followers, we all have to believe the presence of the spontaneous beings, right? According to right view, right? Under the Mahachattarya Sutra. But it doesn't mean that I have to look for the ghost. Or where is the ghost in my house? That is obsession, and you will be scared too. And after a few days, you will see, okay, I think next to me is a ghost now. He was not ghost, he was your husband, maybe your wife, right? Because if you are going to be so much obsessed with these non-human creatures, then it will create a big problem in your life, right? So that means there are a lot of creatures, things that are existing to the point that we cannot understand in our Rupa structure. But learning Abhidhamma, if you have more time, it's okay. But I don't think you must. If you have more time, you can read it. I think these Dhātumanasikārapabb Sutta and Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta are enough for you too, because Buddha is talking Dhamma only to the extent we can get rid of suffering. Buddha always says, I talk about Dhamma only to help you to get out of the suffering. Don't ask me too much information. Where did the Buddha say this? In the Chula Malunke Sutta. In the Chula Malunke Sutta, Salla Sutta, one man was shot with a poisonous arrow. So now many people go and they want to help him out. How to help him out? Pull out the arrow. The man says, no, don't pull out this arrow. Then they ask, why? Tell me who shot. What time he shot. How much poison is inside the arrow. Right? He wants to know a lot of information about it. Then the people say, we cannot answer these things. You will be dead in a moment of time. In the same way, Buddha says, I only tell you the information about life, universe, this experience, to the extent that you cross the samsara. So I think in that way, learning about Rupa in a scientific way, physical way, or in the Abhidhamma way is not bad, but not very necessary. So I think Buddha didn't, that is the very reason why he may have not gone to the Kalapas, Rupa clusters. Yes. Okay, we'll pick up the questions. We have feelings and consciousness, but the earth do not have feelings and consciousness. Yes, earth doesn't need to have consciousness. Earth is earth, right? Agree, Kalapas, okay?
Because Bhante, you mentioned about the filth and unpleasant things being poured onto the earth. So the earth has no, doesn't react, doesn't respond, with aversion. But
yes,
our mind, we will respond with aversion because our mind.
No, that is a metaphorical example, brother.
Yes, correct.
It's not you don't have to take it from a real way. Some examples are metaphorical. That means Buddha is talking it figuratively, just to show it. Yes.
Okay, thank you,
Yeah.
Bhante.
So yes, some of the yogis are able to see the kalapas. Yeah, well, I mean kalapas, rupa kalapas. When you learn about those pure octets, derivative rupas, you will be able to see. All right. Any more questions you got from the audience? About Dhātumanasikāra? We will take a minute of time. If you have a question, please raise your virtual hand. Okay, until you come up with a question, let me summarize. So today we learn about Dhātumanasikārapabb under Kayanupassana. What is the importance of learning Dhatu? Dhatu means the elementary level of our composition. Normally, we look at the personal composition with regard to understanding, perceiving us. But Buddha is asking us to time bring the natural composition of the body through the Mahabhutas. Reason is that when we can bring natural composition into personal composition, that will deconstruct our I, me, myself nature of the body. And we will be more mindful with regard to that. And this is a meditation. So what time should we do this meditation? In the morning or afternoon, evening, during the supper time? No, you cannot make it a time. It is all the time. Right? That's why Satipaṭṭhāna meditations are not for cushion meditations. They are really what you call all the time meditations, because these are cultivation. You cannot bring a cushion and do it, because every time I have a body image awareness, right? You also have it. Do I look good? I had to go to the mirror and see. Do I look good for other people? Do I look good for myself? Right? And then on those situations, at those times, what if I bring, while I'm conventionally maintaining my body in the best way, I also have to understand, although I do my makeup, I want to look good. I know this is Patabi, this is Apo, this is Tejo, this is Vayu. That itself make me into the Dhātumanasikāra. Right? That's a simple way to do it. All right, any questions at this point? Okay, if not, then we will end our sutta discussion at this point and leaving the announcement that we will be doing the next Kayanapasana on Friday. I mean, the 6th Satipaṭṭhāna with regard to Kayanapasana. So may all the good karmas we be making today by learning about Dhātumanasikāra be transferred to all departed ones who passed away in the name of all of us. I was informed by one of our participants, I think you know Sister Jessica, not the Jessica over here, Sister Jessica Chang. Her mother passed away, Madam Au Young Men, and all the other departed ones who passed away in the name of all of us in our life. May they all receive these good karmas. May they be well and happy. May they attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Idang me ñāti nang hotu sukita huntu ñātayo. Idam me ñāti nang hotu sukita huntu ñātayo. Idam me ñāti nang hotu sukita huntu ñātayo. Next, we are going to share all these good karmas with Devanaga Mahidika. May Devanaga Mahidika receive all these good karmas. May they be well and happy. May they protect and bless all of us for good health, quality of life, prosperity, safety, and habits. May they also attain supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Ittavata amhehi Sambatang punya sampadang sabe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ittavata cha amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ittavata cha amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabe sattva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Akasattha ca Bhummattha Devanaga Mahidika Punyantang Anumoditva Chirang Rakhantu Sasanang. Akasattha ca Bhummattha Devanaga Mahidika Punyantang Anumoditva Chirang Rakhantu Desanang. Akasattha ca Bhummattha Devanaga Mahidika Punyantang Anumoditva Chirang Rakhantu Mang Parang Chirang Rakhantu Tvam Sadati. Dhammavish, our Dhammavish is always to be surrounded with Kalyana Mittas. We all are Kalyana Mittas to each other here, and we are always trying to make more Kalyana Mittas at the same time. Maybe become Kalyana Mittas to as many sentient beings as we meet in this samsara, right? With this noble intention, let us make the wish. Imina punya kammena mami bala samagamu satang samagamu yava nibbana pattaya. Finally, may all the good karmas we be making today by learning about Dhātumanasikāra, the importance of understanding elements with regard to our body, internally, externally, with regard to being mindful as a Kayanapasana, be supportive and helpful for all of us to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Abhivadana silissa niccang vaddha pacāino Chattaru dhamma vaddhanti ayuvannu sukhang bala ayurarogya sampatti sagga sampatti mevacha ato nibbana sampatti iminati samiccatu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. With that, our Friday tears discussion is coming to an end, and wishing you a pleasant good night. We'll see. Look forward to seeing you on Friday at the same time.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu. Thank you very much, Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante. Good night.
Sadhu, 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 sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Good night, everyone.
Good
Thank
night,
you.
everybody.
Good night.
Bhante.
Sadhu. Sadhu, Bhante. Good night.
Good night,
night.
Bhante.
Sadhu.
Night,
See you.
Yeah, sadhu.
Night, Bhante.
Night, brothers, sisters. See you all next
Bye.
week.
Hi, happy birthday to you.
Happy belated birthday, sister
Aliana,
Aliana.
yes.
Happy birthday, Aliana.
Thank you, sister. Thank you, Bhante.
Yes, thank you, Aliana. Good night. See you.
Night,
Yes.
Bhante. Thank you
Yes,
very
good
much.
night.
Bhante.
Yes.
Good night, sisters. See you all next week.